afternoon. It gives me so much pleasure to see so many bright, smiling faces around me. I remember early September, 4 years ago, seeing some of you walk into my classroom just beginning your freshman year. And now you've grown so tremendously. One of the greatest joys of being a parent is watching your children grow and develop and seeing the potential that they have and getting a glimpse as to what kind of adult they will become. As a teacher, I have the great fortune of seeing that same development in so many wonderful children. Getting to know so many of you and getting a glimpse as to the adults that you will become is pure magic. And for this, I consider myself quite lucky. As many of you know, a year and a half ago, I was diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease. And the past year and a half has been the most difficult, yet strangely wonderful time of my life. I'm grateful and honored that you have chosen me to address you on this important day of your life. Throughout my teaching career, I always tried to offer a unique perspective, and I think now more than ever, my perspective is quite unique, and there are very valuable lessons to be learned. So to start, lesson number 1. Life is beautiful. There is beauty in everything around us and every experience that we have. How many of you have ever taken the time to look up at the falling rain and wonder from what height did that drop fall? Where on earth did that water come from, and what will it become? 10 years ago, I lived in an apartment complex, and I was running through the heavy rain from my car towards the entrance of my building. There was lightning striking all around, loud claps of thunder. I saw a man sitting on a bench, and I stopped and asked if he got locked out from his apartment. Turns out this guy was from Ireland, and he had never seen a summer squall before. He was just sitting there, enjoying it. I sat down next to him, I looked around, and I realized just how beautiful it really was. I also realized that I was running from that beautiful thing. We live better lives when we can appreciate the full beauty of the world around us. Too often in our day-to-day lives, we are confronted with things we perceive as unpleasant, so many of which are not necessarily bad, but rather different from some imaginary ideal situation. In February, you said, "I'm too cold." Right now in June, you're probably saying, "I'm way too hot." Close your eyes and remember that cold, crisp winter breeze. How wonderful would a little puff of that winter air be today? Next winter, when you feel that cold puff of air, remember where you are right now. In the middle of winter, when I go outside and there's 10 degrees air, and I take in a deep breath through my nose, and I feel my nostrils begin to freeze, I feel happy because it's what I expected it to be, and because I find pleasure in simple things. Life is not about deciding what is beautiful and what isn't, but rather gaining the ability to see the beauty in the details of the world around you. We all have a million little interactions with the world each day. If you have realistic expectations about each day, if you're pleased by the fact that the rain is wet, the thorns can be sharp, and the night is dark, then you will find each day more satisfying than the next. Lesson number 2. The value of life. It took me personally many years to figure out the value of life. When I grew up in the 80s, I had a house with 2 parents, and not so far away I had 4 grandparents. The closest thing that I came to personal tragedy was the loss of a pet. Well, the 90s weren't so kind to me. With the death of my father to colon cancer at age 56, and my 21-year-old cousin Carl to a drunk driver hurt pretty bad. Now, my father was a very smart man, and he taught me many things. but the most important lesson was taught through his death. I learned that life can be short. I learned that in the end, family and friends are all that really matter. I learned that I should cherish every day as if it were my last. I learned that I should do things that make me happy now. I learned that I should view the world and my life as a gift. And I learned that I shouldn't waste time being sad or grumpy. Throughout my teaching career, I tried to incorporate the value and beauty of life through my personal life experiences. Ironically, I became the greatest example of my lessons. It pained me tremendously to break the news of my diagnosis to my classes. However, I'm comforted to know that through my adversity, so many of you have grown so much. Your compassion, generosity, and spirit gives me and my family strength and hope, and for this we are eternally grateful. When you are sitting for your first big job interview, realize that every experience that you have, every moment of every day, teaches you something and makes you a different and better person. And rather than being stricken with nerves and unable to speak to the interviewer sitting across the table, view it as an experience that makes you a stronger person. As you go forth, please take these lessons to heart. Be good to yourself, be good to those around you, be careful, and be happy. Congratulations, class of 2000.